Welcome to the Self-Care 101 podcast with your host, straight-talking life coach, Puja McClymont. This show provides simple self-development, supporting you to embody your self-worth so that you can live the happier, more fulfilled life that you deserve without burning out. Thank you so much for listening today. Hello, it's season 2, episode 14. Firstly, apologies for the break. I was moving house and I overestimated my data allowance and Wi-Fi being set up in time. Now, I enjoyed being disconnected and I learned a lot about myself in these past 2 weeks, which I will definitely be sharing with you in the coming weeks. I'll be covering things like putting on a pretense and downplaying your achievements through to what I did to not divorce my Dwayne during our move. I promise you it was a tough one. But in today's show, I want to talk about money, honey. So is a 500 grand 3-bed house in London expensive? Is a 5 grand handbag from Chanel expensive? Is a £600 sideboard expensive? My life is all about furniture from now until everything that I've ordered arrives for the new place. So expect a lot of furniture analogies. Or what about a 45 grand car? Is that expensive? Is 3 grand expensive for a counsellor or coach who can help you change your life and show you how to be happy? Is 100 grand expensive to join a dating site that guarantees you your perfect partner? Is 18 grand expensive for a cesarean? What about getting your hair cut and coloured for 100? Is that expensive? Or going through IVF treatment for 25 grand, which may or may not result in a baby? Is that expensive? So many examples, but how can you define what is value versus what is expensive? Now, there's no secret here. It's just based on your income and experiences where you happily spend money. But what I want to achieve from this show is to help you with your money mindset. So let's start with a story. A couple of months ago, I went to Bicester Village, which is an outlet, a luxury outlet shopping thing in Oxford. And I was going specifically to find these Bodum glasses. I was just obsessed with glasses. Don't know why, but just having a bit of an obsession. And I forgot that Bodum doesn't exist anymore at Bicester, like 200 years ago they left, but there we go. I actually used to do the PR for Bicester Village, well, all of those outlets within the value retail group. So I always have a sort of special place in my heart for those villages. I just love them. Anyway, so I went with my bestie. My bestie is a black gay guy and not very camp. When we're together, we look very much like we are married. We certainly act like that way too. Now, I'm giving you context. Now, we hadn't seen each other for a while, so we dressed up a little bit for each other too. You know, we were spending the whole day together, shopping and lunching and coffees and champagne at the Wolseley. You know, we were wanting to have that day together because it had been so long, you know, pandemic, etc. Anyway, so we get to Bicester and park the car and we start looking around the shops. We both had a kind of small shopping list of the things that we wanted. I was obviously in the process of buying my new property. So I was very much focused on homewares and hand cream. Very specific, but yes. Anyway, so we're shopping around, having a great time. And then I was desperately looking for Bodum. I was like, where is this bloody shop? Like, I know it's here. Where is it? Anyway, turns out it's not there anymore. And so I went to the guest relations person to ask. I said, hi, I'm looking for Bodum. Is it still here? And she said, oh, I've never heard of Bodum. And I was like, oh, okay. And I'm looking at this like 20-odd-year-old thinking, yeah, she probably doesn't know it because I'm 40 and I've been coming to Bicester for years, but let's by the by. Anyway, so then she said to me, what are you looking for specifically? Maybe I can suggest another retailer. So I was like, nice customer service. And I said, I'm looking for glasses, like mugs, glass mugs specifically. And Bodum do some really lovely ones and I really wanted them. And she said, okay. She said, well, there's a shop here, which I'd already known about. So I was like, yep, I'm going to go in there. And then she said, there's another one, but it's very expensive. You know, you can try it. And I just sort of like, okay, all right. Now, there's a couple of things happening here, but I'm not going to talk about all of those things. Maybe we'll save that for another show. But when she said to me that's expensive, I kind of looked at my friend and I thought, huh. So what makes this girl, this 20-year-old girl, think that I cannot afford the shops that I've come to shop in? What makes her think that my pockets are small? You know, Bodum's not the cheapest brand. It's a high-end brand. So, anyway, whatever. And it put my nose out of joint. My ego was pissed, and I literally walked away, and I was like, did she just say to me that there is another shop, but it's really expensive? And he's like, yes, I heard it too. And I thought, okay, I could really tell her about herself, but she might have to learn the lesson in a different way. And I felt really kind of, how to put it? I was really insulted. I was really insulted that she had the audacity to say to me that something was expensive. You don't know what's in my pocket. You certainly don't know what's in my bank account. And you do not know where I place value. When it comes to homewares, I have a high value approach to homewares because I like things to last. I will buy something from IKEA to do a job, but I accept that IKEA piece is not necessarily going to last me 10 years. That's okay if I'm buying it in that vein. But if I want to buy a nice piece that's going to last me a long time, I will spend £600 on a sideboard. I might have to save that money. That doesn't matter. I might have a windfall one month and I'm able to spend it in one go. Who knows? Anything can happen. But regardless, how I spend money is based on value, the value that I place on things. If I'm shopping in Bicester, a luxury outlet village, I don't want to spend luxury money on things when I don't have to. That's just money sense. That's just being sensible about your money. That's got nothing to do with affordability. If I want the Chanel handbag for £5,000, I'll buy the Chanel handbag for £5,000. That might take me years to save. That might, again, like I said, it might be a windfall one month in work and I can afford to buy it straight off. Who knows? But either way, if I want it, I'll get it. Anyway, she put my nose out of joint. My ego was not happy. And it sat with me. I can't tell you how much it sat with me. I thought it was rude to assume. I was, that whole sort of like, I used to do the PR there side of me came out where it was like, you don't know who people are. Even if you think about celebrities and stuff, look at Keanu Reeves. He walks around streets and whatever and takes a subway and does his thing. He's got millions in his pocket. But if he wants to buy a hot dog from a New York stand, you can't judge him for that because that's what he wants to do. And he can obviously spend on a lobster hot dog for however much money. But he chooses the hot dog stand in New York. I think you get my point here. Anyway, needless to say, I was annoyed and it just, put a bad taste in my mouth. I just didn't appreciate it because I think it's not your business. It's not your business to judge. And I think maybe because of the work that I do, and I have removed so much judgment from my life because of what I do, that when I experience judgment, it really sways me the other way. Anyway, moral of this story is value. Something being expensive or of value is relative. It is relative to your income and it is relative to your experiences with money. So we all have a value that we place on certain things. So I gave you a bunch of examples in the intro, loads of examples. And some things we will spend the money on. So we might think that spending £500,000 on a 3-bed house in London is perfectly acceptable because that's the market, that's the going rate. But we may not want to spend £25,000 on IVF because I should be able to conceive naturally. So it's very much about the value, but depends on how much you want that baby. It depends on how much you want that house. There are other things, coffee, for example. So I'm a coffee lover, if you didn't know already. You'll find lots of pictures of me drinking coffee. Now, I like aesthetics as well. Like I said earlier, I place value on homeware a lot, right? That's one of my favorite places, I guess, to spend money. And I put a lot of value in the things that I'm, furnishing my home with, because especially now, as I work for myself, I spend a lot of time at home. So I want to enjoy my home with the things in it. I may not spend that kind of money on restaurants and bars and clothes and shoes anymore. I used to in my 20s and 30s. I spent a lot on bars, restaurants, shoes and clothes and handbags. But now those things don't have the same value for me. Value for me now is my home and how it makes me feel, and making it a welcoming place for people, because I love hosting. Total hostess with the mostest. So for me, my home obviously is an extension of me, but also a place that I want to be comfortable for everyone. Anyway, that was quite ranty. But coffee, right? So coffee, I love coffee. Any type of coffee. Take me, I'm there. And I wanted an espresso machine. I didn't know I wanted one until my friend took me into Nespresso, and I was like, oh my God, this is revolutionizing my life. So I chose Nespresso. And I love my Nespresso machine. I like 5-star holidays. The reason why I like 5-star holidays is because when I go away, I want to want for nothing. I want to know that there is concierge that I can call upon. I want to know that I can have room service. I want to know that my son's needs can be catered for. So I prefer to book a 5-star holiday. But when Dwayne and I were dating, I preferred a 3-star or 4-star holiday because I wanted to save money. I didn't want to spend so much on a holiday, especially when we were barely going to be in the room. But things have changed now. With a child, you're not out until 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night on holiday. You're back in the room at around 6, 7 o'clock. So for me, it's really important that the hotel that we stay at is comfortable, because we're going to be spending more time there than we would have done in other holidays. It's all about the stuff that you want versus what you need, right? Now, I can push back on certain things, but there's no sense in that. So if I want to have a 5-star holiday and it's just all out of my price range in the destination that I want to go to, I will then look at 4-star options. But I know when I'm looking at the 4-star options, they're just not as good as the 5 stars. So then I'll sort of like be child ego states and be like, no, but I want what I want. But if I need to save something, save money for something else, I have to consider what I want versus what I need. And this is my message to you. When you are looking at saving money, making more money, the first place to look is where you are spending your money. Okay? So like I've said, I like value in homewares. So that's where I put my attention on money. You might value clothes, you might value makeup, you might value something else. So it's all different, but it's where you place that value. Because if you're placing a lot of value in things like makeup and shoes and handbags and clothes, I would only ask you, what are you trying to achieve with your money mindset, you know? All right, let me get into this a bit more. What we need to do is get into the mindset of, if I want something, if I want X, I need to save X amount. But if I spend money, then it's going to take longer to achieve that goal that I'm trying to achieve. So if I want to buy a house, right? Let's just use the house analogy. If I want to buy a house, I need to have a minimum of a 10% deposit, right? So a $4,000 house, a 400 grand house is going to cost 40 grand in just the deposit alone. And that as well, if you're lucky. And then you got to add another 10 grand for solicitors, moving fees, etc., etc. So 50 grand. And I know that I can achieve this in 2 years if I only spend half of my wages. Okay, so let's say we're in a 50 grand job, right? I could achieve this in 2 years by only living on half of my wages. That is the simple maths. But in order to live on half of your wages, you've got to consider where your money is going, what you're spending money on, and make those adjustments accordingly. Unless, of course, you're rich, then this is not a conversation that we need to have, because you've got that financial freedom. I'm assuming that people who are listening are normal people who have jobs and need to save, and, you know, we do things the normal way. What you need to think about is which is more important to you in that moment. Do I want the deposit for the house, or do I want the makeup? Do I want the deposit for the house, Do I want the shoes? Do I want the deposit for the house? Do I want the furniture? It's those things we need to look at. If you basically plan for what you want whilst working on what you need, you won't feel like you have to work hard or sacrifice. Because if you do sort of feel like, oh, I have to sacrifice dinners out with friends, and I have to sacrifice shoes, and I have to sacrifice all of this if I want to have a house, one, life gets really boring. It gets really depressing. And what will happen is that you'll start resenting your goals. So this incredible goal of buying a house that you have becomes more of a bad taste in your mouth. And that's not the way goals should be. It should be exciting. The journey should be exciting. The fact that you still have £100 at the end of the month that you haven't spent that goes into your deposit pot should fill you up, should excite you. But this is all about money mindset. Now, in order to not feel like you have to work so hard or you have to sacrifice, make a budget for the things that you want and the things that you need. Always put money into the place where you need first, so you know that's done and it's out of the way. And then look at the things that you want. Because if you deny yourself the things that you want, it will be harder and longer for you to change the way you view things and actually save that money for the goal that you're working towards. So really think about where you're spending your money and what you want, and make that goal, really robust. Create a want budget. List out a bunch of items and enjoy them. So once a month, twice a month, you go to your list of things that you want, that you enjoy spending money on, and you choose one or two of them, however you want to play it. This is all dependent on how much income you make, and then spend it. And spend it guilt-free. Spend it by enjoying it. You know that if you stay within this budget, within 2 years, you're going to have that 50 grand deposit, 50 grand saved. So it's okay to spend it, to still live your life. Try not to label the whole situation, Don't label it things like, oh, I'm compromising. I have to compromise, what I'm spending money on. Because all those words, compromise, working hard, sacrifice, they all bring up negative associations towards money. And if you have a negative association towards money, that money won't come for you easily. Second thing I want to look at when it comes to manifesting money, and although the show's called Manifesting Money, this show's more practical rather than woo-woo. I did a really great show with Emily about manifesting, and we talk about money there. So I want you to listen to that as well if you want to kind of see how it works from an energetic level. But from a practical standpoint, let's look at another point. Something that's very important, and I know I've said it in 101 shows, even though I've not done 101 shows, is you do not have to explain yourself to anyone. I think one of the things that we think about is obviously comparison. Oh, these people are over here, they've succeeded in this, and this. Oh, this person earns more money. Oh, this person's got such a nice house. Oh, this person's got this. And when we do that, we take away from what we want. We take our focus away from our goals, our achievements, and everything. And, we just get ourselves into a hot mess. So get into the mindset of not having to explain yourself to anyone. And I will give you an example. We have a 5-year plan. 5-year plan started in 2019 when I sold my flat and moved to West London. We moved to West London for 2 reasons. 1, to be closer to my parents and help with childcare. And 2, to be closer to my friends. That's it. When we sold the flat, we cleared off debt. We had some money left over, so we kept that in a pot for a deposit for a house. When we moved into this lovely 3-bed, massive Victorian house, and we had these grand plans of living there and saving money. Then in 2020, a pandemic happened and kind of messed with that plan, but not massively. Just enough to know that, we need to shift gears a bit if we still want to achieve our goals. Now, our 5-year goal is to move to Spain. I say 5 years, but it might not be 5 years, it might be 10. So we're working to a 5-year framework just to give us momentum and motivation and excitement, really, within it. But we are flexible with that goal. Spain and Brexit might cause problems. So we don't know any of that. So we are very flexible on when it will happen. The point is, we want it to happen, so it will happen when the time is right. Now, in the pandemic, we realized, I guess, not we, I'll blame this on my husband, but he realized how much money we were spending living in rented accommodation. And we did want to have the experience of living in a big house. We wanted to see what it felt like, if this was what we wanted, what we needed, because we thought we needed more space when we moved out of the flat as well. So we thought the next thing we buy is going to be a house rather than a flat. So when we were in this house, I realized how much bloody work it is to upkeep a house. And to upkeep a house, try to lose weight, have another baby, and, make a business work, it was just a bit too much. So when we started to realize that we needed to get out of living where we were living, we started looking at buying. Houses were just so difficult to buy, and the open market was so hard for us because we were just being shot down at left, right and centre. You can have a 10% deposit, but 15% is better. Now we're going to charge you this, and then this discount's going to happen. Oh, you don't qualify for this now. Oh, we need more accounts. No, your accounts aren't good because you had a dip in pandemic. So many things. Oh, he's on furlough. Can't consider his accounts on furlough. So many up and down, up and down. And then I decided I wanted a dog. And it was a random thing. My husband felt it was random, but me and my son have been talking about it for ages. So I said to my husband, I want a dog. And he was like, okay, didn't we say that we'd get a dog when we bought a place? And I was like, okay. He goes, and didn't we say we were going to buy a place? I was like, yes. So I went online. I hadn't looked at houses for a while. I was feeling a bit deflated, to be honest, because there were just so many barriers and it was just getting harder and harder. Understandable, I get it, but So I looked online and I found the flat that we live in now. And this is a Thursday. I booked an appointment for a viewing on Friday. Dwayne was off on the Friday. We went down, saw the place, saw 2 of the ones that we wanted. And we were like, yeah, this is it. Okay, let's go. By Monday, we had placed a reservation fee on the property. It's a new build. And by Wednesday, I had a mortgage broker and we were buying a flat. Sometimes these things happen really quickly. So we bought a flat from an investment perspective. So it was very much about, can we be comfortable in this for the next 3 to 5 years? And if we can, what is the potential for resale value? Now, there are lots of things working in its favour. We're in the top floor, the penthouse darling. It's a 2-bed, 2-bath. Great. It's got 2 massive balconies. It's right next to a station, which is going to inherit the Elizabeth line. So we're like, this is going to be good, right? Even getting our mortgage, we were savvy with the mortgage. We chose a mortgage on the shortest term possible. And what that means is before I've even made my first mortgage payment for this place, we will have made 11 grand at the end of the 3-year fixed term, just from repayments. That's it. There will be 11 grand's equity in this property in 3 years' time. And that's before house prices rise. That's before the value goes up because of the Elizabeth line. Being smart with your money. By buying this flat, I am saving £500 a month in rent and whatever else. What is it? Rent and council tax I'm saving. So I get to save an additional £500, which is essentially towards a house here or Spain. We haven't decided yet. And I have savings within the equity of this property. Brilliant. So in 3 months, we have completely changed our financial situation just by making smart moves. Now, my heart struggled a little bit because I wanted to buy a house. Okay, after selling my flat, I really, really wanted to buy a house. But I can tell you, after living in that house, I realized that the house was too much work to add to my life. A small flat, a smaller flat, it's not a small flat, but a smaller place was a lot easier to manage. And it is. I am not stressing about housework, which is something that I was stressing about a lot because there were a lot of rooms and a lot of nooks and crannies, and I like to keep a clean and tidy home. So surprisingly, the day we moved in, I felt so much relief and so much, I guess, so much less stress and anxiety because I knew I could manage this home better, and that would help me, be less stressed, put more time and effort into the things that matter to me. But when we were moving, I did feel like, people are going to question what we're doing. So I didn't tell many people. A handful of people knew what was happening because I didn't want to deal with their stuff because I hadn't dealt with my own stuff at this point. I felt really disappointed in myself that I was taking a sidestep into a flat. I felt like, my life hadn't moved forward. It wasn't like I was doing anything that I really wanted to do. Obviously stupid, but these were thoughts nonetheless. I wouldn't have an office space. I'd have to buy new furniture. I'd still have to be spending quite a lot before I got the place to, somewhere where it's workable because it is smaller. We do have clothes. We've culled and culled and culled, but, we are 2 adults and a child. We have things that still need homes, like we have a couple of coats each. We have, anyway, whatever, right? We downsize massively. I'm very much about not wasting things. I'm very much about, being as sustainable as possible. So we donated so much stuff because we would much rather other people made use of these things than us. Anyway, so I started calling the place the penthouse. And if you follow me on social media, you'll have seen I've been calling it the penthouse because it makes me feel better about the sidestep. Regardless of the fact that this is a sidestep, it is still a house purchase, period. I'm still a homeowner. I'm just a homeowner of a smaller home than I wanted. That's it. And I should be proud of my achievements. But I was worried about the judgment that other people were going to place on me for doing this, which is why I didn't talk to many people about it. And I know some of my friends are a bit pissed with me, but, I have to do what's right for me. If I haven't dealt with the situation, I can't then share it with you. Now, I appreciate I've kind of gone off on a rant, but let me just start wrapping this up. I watch $1 Million Listing. Such a good show. So, my aspirations of a home are probably a little bit skewed. But talking about cleaning, when I moved in, I was like, this is much more manageable. I can clean this easily, within an hour. No problem. Okay. And it's true, I can. It's a lot more manageable. But what I've also learned is where I want to spend money and where I need to be spending my time. I want to be spending my time producing quality content for you guys and having coaching conversations with clients rather than fussing with mold or gardening and skirting boards. I have never had a cleaner and I don't actually need one week on week, but I will be hiring one to come here once a month and do a deep clean, the skirting boards, ovens, the nooks and crannies, because that's where I now place value. I place value on my time. If I don't have to do that deep clean, then that affords me time and calm, calm. I need more calm in my life. Value. Perception, how you spend your money. And therefore, I will always have that budget for it because I want that cleaner. I want that cleaner. I need that cleaner. I need that cleaner so that I don't get stressed out by the house and the lack of support from my husband. The third and final point is about understanding your relationship with money. If you think in terms of lack, you're going to get more of it, right? So if you think you don't have enough money, then that's basically what you're getting. If you think in terms of abundance, you're going to get more of that. Now, I can be a bit of an imposter here. Sometimes I'm in scarcity mindset and sometimes I'm in abundance mindset. My whole life, I was in abundance mindset, and that's why I got to do all the things that I wanted to do. And people who know me are like, oh my God, you're so determined and blah, blah, blah. It's like, oh no, it's a lot about mindset. But I was made redundant when I was on maternity leave. And when that happened, I lost my drive. And it's been such an uphill struggle. And I sometimes feel like I can fall into scarcity mindset so easily. And then I need to do the deeper work with my coach to put me back on track. Now I've got a business. I want to succeed both with my clients and financially. I've got personal goals that I want to achieve that do require money. So those goals are clearly defined now with a plan to achieve them. But sometimes life happens and it gets just that little bit harder, and that's how scarcity creeps in. But the trauma of the redundancy, something that was out of my control, that threw me both in confidence and everything else, really messed with my money mindset. So it has been an uphill struggle, and many of us go through different things. And especially if you've been affected, with your career in the pandemic, this will make a lot of sense for right now, because right now you might be chasing the money. And unfortunately, when you chase the money, you don't get it, because money is the outcome of your goal. Money is the outcome of passion. So the most important things are to create a goal and to be very clear on what you need. So if you want a 50 grand job, do not apply to 30 grand jobs, period. Be consistent, align, believe that you deserve it for all the reasons that you deserve it, and focus on it. This is where we start doing vision boards and meditating on things. Be very clear, be specific about what it is you want. And that's how you will start going into that abundance mindset. Something that is going to be really handy for you in this kind of context is a gratitude practice, because it will help you stay in an abundance mindset. So you can say you do 3 things you're grateful for in the morning and 3 things that you're grateful for at night. You can include one financial thing to be grateful for every day, as well as the other things that you write, because that way you're continually reminding yourself of your financial abundance. You could use the 369 method of manifestation to really hit home what it is you want. There's an article that I contributed to in Stylist magazine over on my website that you can read about how to do this method to manifesting anything, because it's perfect for beginners, but it will really help you remind yourself, if you do this gratitude practice, of what it is you're working towards, and keep that positive association in your mind. Look, I know I've gone off on a bit of a tangent, describing the situation that I've just gone through, but the reason why I'm using myself as an example is because it's quite tangible. We all kind of fall into these similar scenarios, and it just makes it relatable. And if you listen to the show for a while, you know that I'd rather use a personal example than using one of my clients and making them feel uncomfortable. So I use my personal example so you can sort of see the sort of bits and bobs that go through your own mind when you're trying to achieve these things. But just to wrap up, value, where you place your value on things is going to be important with regards to your money mindset. So if you do want to buy a house, you have to reduce your value in the things that you spend lots of money in. Okay, create a what I want budget and create a what I need budget. The what I need budget is very much about saving for the thing that you are working towards. The what I want budget is giving to yourself so that you do not feel deprived and having to work harder or sacrifice or compromise, and then you go into child ego state and you push back, and then you don't achieve that financial goal that you want. Look at the stuff that's in your house as well. I sold quite a bit before I left my old place, and I was like £900 up out of nowhere, which went a long way in the end, because the movers cost us more than we had planned. So that was great. So you can actually, look within your home to release some money, because there might be places that you don't realize there is some value and people will happily pay for it. So have a think about it. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. And the third thing was not to talk about, the second thing was not to talk about it to people who are not, who are not fully supportive, the not having to explain yourself to anyone. What you're doing is what you're doing for yourself. Talk to people who are supportive, talk to people who aren't going to judge you, who aren't going to question you, and then it will be a lot easier and more enjoyable to work on and achieve your goals. Understand your relationship with money, look at the past, see what kind of experiences you've had that might contribute to a sense of lack at the moment with money, and put yourself into a more abundance mindset by practicing gratitude every day. It is a game changer, I promise you. Overall, if you want money, you can't actually focus on the money. That's going to be the outcome of the goals that you set. So start creating goals. Even if the goal is to be able to pay your bills each month and have X amount left over to save for whatever you want to save for, that's fine. Just do that. If that's not your current situation, but you have a goal, then you're going to start to see opportunities to help you achieve more money, like a promotion, a new job, a gig on the side, selling stuff. You'll be amazed at how much money is sitting in your stuff. And right now, I want my money to flow towards what I need and not what I want. Because I've just bought a place and I still have Spain in my sights and my son's got needs and things like that. Right now, my focus is about what I need, not what I want. There are things that I want, but there might be some bits for the house that are a bit more unnecessary than others. But I still want them. I just will make sure that I do the need stuff first. And I don't feel bad about it at all because I have a goal in mind. I have a goal. And that's what will keep you focused and not feeling like you're lacking. The goal is a positive. The goal is something that you can achieve. It's exciting. All right, look, if you are ready to change your money mindset, then I'd like to invite you to have a 1 hour, totally free coaching experience with me. And in that hour, I'm going to show you exactly how you'll be able to have what you want. And you don't even have to hire me as your coach after the call. Just accept the invite as my gift to you for being so supportive of my podcast. So what are you waiting for? Tap out of your podcast app, head to my website, PujaMcClymont.com, and book your call with me on the homepage. Talk to you soon. Thank you for listening to the Self-Care 101 podcast. If you enjoyed the show, please subscribe, rate and review over on Apple Podcasts so that other people like you can find the show. For more information about the work I do, head over to my website, PujaMcClymont.com, and for daily inspiration, please follow me on Instagram at PujaMcClymont. Sending love and talk to you soon.